So when we got the theme of Nemesis, I tried to think like, who was my nemesis? Like, who was I going after all the time? Who was coming after me? And I didn't really have anyone. Certainly people didn't like me, and I didn't like people, but I wasn't really trying to go after like that guy. So I thought, okay, so I looked up the definition of nemesis, and it's something like a person or act that one has trouble overcoming. So I'm like, bam, youth sports. So in 5th grade, I was, how you say, a portly fellow, and you know, baseball was going around. Now I have a younger brother who was going around. It's a pretty popular thing. I have a younger brother who is just a child prodigy at baseball. He was a pitcher, and when baseball came around, all the coaches were like, oh, it's the Alderson boys. Athleticism must run in their family. It doesn't. So, just with Tim, my brother. So they're like, let's put Mark on the team. And this was the first year where you were allowed to pitch. So they saw my brother pitch, so they're like, they must practice together. We didn't. So I got put on the Blue Jays, the minor league Blue Jays, and I was so excited, and that I showed up to practice with like all the cool gear. Like I bought a Blue Jays shirt, and I was like, I'm that guy who showed up with a Blue Jays shirt, and no one cared at all. And from like day one, I was bullied on the team because I was a large guy, and the coach had a saying like, you're only as good as your weakest link because you're a team. And I hated that saying because I was the weakest link. During practice, after me like fumbling the ball and just running slow, we would have to run laps. So he wouldn't let anyone pass the weakest link because you're a team. So no one was allowed to pass me. So I was so slow, and I had asthma, and these like guys who had like tiny six-packs were ready to like pass me. And they're like, I can't, I'm sorry. And they just got so angry that the new thing for me, I guess, was to like snap my hat off. Like, you know, I had like the buckles on the back. They would snap it off and flick my ears. It was like, assholes. So I showed up to the next practice with like a pro-fitted hat, being like, that'll show you. And it didn't, because I just looked like a professional athlete with a stupid hat, and I was awful at it. And I hated that season. And we made it to the playoffs somehow, probably because I was on the bench all the time with another friend named Noel, and him and I would just like talk back and forth about the new Star Wars movie coming out. And we made it to the playoffs, and it was awful because 2 of the main pitchers couldn't make it that day, so they were rotating people, and there's a rule that you're not allowed to bench a player more than 3 innings, and they like were really trying to bench me for 3 innings. They're like, let's keep Mark out of this and try to win to go to the finals. So finally, like the person comes over from the league, and he's like, that kid has not played at all. So they go over, and he's like, Mark, would you like to pitch? And I'm thinking like, okay, I play catch with my dog, so that must be the same thing, right? It's not. So Noel was like, go show them. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna show this team who they bullied all season. I'm gonna go, and I'm just gonna lead this team to victory, and I'll show them. So I go to the mound, and I realize this now that I was told later, is when you wear white baseball pants, don't wear blue boxers, because they show through. And I was like, Blue Jays, blue box, team spirit. It's a dumb idea. So I go to the mound, all just like sweaty, and I'm like, well, this is it, I'm gonna have to do this. So I get ready, and we're playing the Reds, and I was like, I know a couple people on the Reds, they'll make me look good, this will be great, and I'll lead the team to victory. So first up, I remember Bob Berry comes up, and I'm like, Bob Berry, I played the saxophone with him, this is right on track, I'm gonna do this. So I go to pitch, and he just knocks it so hard, and he gets a triple. I'm like, Bob Berry did not get the memo that he was supposed to help me out. And already I look terrible. And so then the second batter comes up, who's this huge guy, who I was like, that guy can't be in the minors right now. He is not 10. So I thought, okay, this is like prison. If I strike him out, then I'll be like the baddest mofo on the field. Like, this is what's going on in my head. So I'm like, you can do this, Mark, because you'll show them. And so I go, and I just lobbed the ball across the plate, and it just basically rolled. And he looked at it, and I walked him, and it was awful. And so I'm like, well, I'm not the baddest mofo, obviously. So I just started to sweat, and like, oh my God, there's like 30 people out there watching me, and I have my team, and this is awful. I just want to hang out with Noel on the bench. And Noel's like hanging out on the bench. I'm like, I want to be with him. So it happens. I walked their entire team. And I'm like, Coach, come on! And people started getting restless in the crowd. Like, I'm about 10, and you would think parents would be like, "Good for you, Mark," or "Good for you, kid." No, they were like, "Take him out! Take him out!" And I'm like, "Please, Coach, take me out!" And there was a rule that if you start the inning and you had to finish it, because if I pitched other innings, you could take him out. But I was like, the pitch is in. It was awful. So I go, and finally someone hits a ground ball to the first baseman. He gets it, and a double play. I'm like, oh, yes, 2 strikes. This is it. This is it. All I have to do is get one more, and I'm sitting on the bench eating Butterfingers. That's it. So I go, and then this kid I knew from math named Marcus Eden comes up. I'm like, Marcus Eden, let's do this, man. And he gives me this look of like, I feel you, man. I feel you. And thanks, Marcus. So I go, and he swings, strike 1, and I start to get confidence. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna strike him out. So then, like, the crowd sees it, and they just start cheering. And I think like it's for me, but it's mostly because this inning is gonna end soon, finally. And so Marcus is just like, he does it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm a professional pitcher now. So like, I do the whole thing of like, okay, and I like kick the dirt and touch my bill. I'm like, well, here's the pitch. And then strike 2. Yes, it's almost there, guys. And my team is like getting excited because this is an awful thing that's happening. And then strike 3 happens, and Marcus gives me this look of like, you owe me for the rest of your life. So I say, thank you, Marcus. So finally, it's over, and I go back to the dugout. And everyone's like, why can't you be like your brother Tim? You're awful. Oh, we should have just forfeited the game. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh, but then that was the day where I was like, I don't care about these people because it doesn't matter because I'm not going to be a Blue Jay forever. So, and they thought they were like, oh, we're gonna. They tried to salvage the game, which in my mind was like 4,000 to 1. And so I get on the bench with Noel, and like we just pick up our conversation right off the bat, and we're like, oh, that new Star Wars movie's not going to hold up the other ones. And we're drinking Capri Sun. I'm like, you know what? Someday I'll find humor in all this, and I did tonight, so thank you.